All right, this is going to be a little awkward, but a guy named Jesse, kind of new to installing, and I made some suggestions for him, and he was questioning why. So I wanted to go over a few things for some of the newer installers, even the olders, because for many years I didn't use a lot of this stuff. Uh, I'm old school. I soldered stuff on. I didn't crimp. Everything I did pretty much was solder or wire nuts. So anyway, uh, hang on just a minute. Let me get my big crimper out. All right, so let's see. Here we go. There's the hydraulic crimper, and you can find these on Amazon. And one like this, I don't know that I haven't seen the longer handle one. I've been seeing the shorter handle one. And that's a 16 ton. So you see that little pin? That pin goes in here. You pull that out. You drop your die in like so, and then this one should go in like so. And give me a second, and I'll prep the wire and crimp that. All right, so first let's do this positive side. I'm trying to do this where you can see it reasonably, and I'm not the most expert videographer or anything else really. So there's your, now this is a 2-gauge solid copper lug, and you might, that's what I had handy. I didn't have any 4s. It's a little big on this number 4. Some of your oversized 4 from certain makers, that might, the 2-gauge might be better. So let's see here. Let me get this situated. Hang on. All right, this is crazy to do this. Trying to do this so you can see it. But if you can see how that lug is in there and the wire's in there, you kind of hold it still. Then you just crank on your handle and keep cranking and cranking until you got it crimped. Hang on, and I'll do that and come back. All right, well, that was done, and here's the lug. And guess what? The wire came out of the lug. Because why? It was a 2-gauge lug and 4-gauge wire and a 2-gauge bit on the hydraulic crimper. So don't do that. So anyway, you can see how it crimped. And what I did was crimped it 3 times. One in the middle, then one on the end, and one the other end. And you see how it's got these little wings on it? You can flip it, whatever, 30 degrees, and crimp it again, and it'll knock those little wings down. So, use the right size. This would have worked if this had been oversized 4-gauge, but it's not. If anything, it's probably a little small. So a 4-gauge lug is going to be necessary. Now, I'm going to try, and I've never tried this. I've got these little, bear with me a second. All right, so what we're going to do is try this ring terminal, and this is similar to some of the ring terminals you get with these install kits. It's a split ring terminal. I'm going to try to crimp that with the hydraulic crimper and see what it does. I've never tried it before. Usually with this style, I will solder them on if I have to use them. But we're going to try to crimp it, so hang on. All right, success. I found my last 4-gauge copper lug, and my 4-gauge dies on the hydraulic crimper. So this, let's see if this will show the focus. I don't know. It won't focus. This split ring crimped pretty good. I still don't trust these. I crimped it 3 times, middle end to end, and then flipped it, and then middle end to end. And it's pretty tight. It looks good, but I just don't trust it. I don't like these ends. I'd prefer to solder that. Now this is the 4-gauge lug, and I only did it the 3 crimps, you know, middle, upper, and lower. And you see how it's got these wings. So I would flip it, you know, 30 degrees or whatever, and crimp it again 3 times, and that should take care of your wings, and that's a good crimp. So that's your, you know, your main, like where you go to your fuses, where you go to your battery, alternator, that sort of thing. Now, also, you know, preferably you do this before you put the, because sometimes you can't fit the heat shrink over the ring. This is adhesive heat shrink, 3-to-1 ratio of shrink. So I'm gonna take the trusty heat gun right here and heat these up and show you what that looks like. Hang on just a second. All right, so here goes the heat gun. That's on setting number 2. This particular heat shrink is pretty thick, and I don't know if you can see because my stupid camera won't focus. You can see the adhesive come out of it as you heat it. And what that's good for is A, to keep it in place, and B, to keep any kind of moisture, corrosion from getting inside of it. That is particularly crucial if you use copper clad aluminum, CCA wire, because any kind of exposure to elements, even under your hood, and that stuff will turn to dust and crumble, and you'll have a failure or worse. So there's your heat shrink, and I'm sorry for this crappy video, but that's, you know, I'm just trying to help somebody. Hopefully it helps more than one person. So that's what you want right there on your heat shrink on your power wire. So moving on, ferrule crimper and wire ferrules. Now you can use wire ferrules, which I strongly suggest, in your power wire from your battery or whatever to your amplifier. These are 4-gauge ferrules, and I even put them in the crimper and crimped them a little bit so they would stay put, because I take these on and off. If you're just doing it one time, you slide the ferrule over the wire, you know, make sure there's no stray wires anywhere, heat shrink it, that'll hold it in place, and then slide that into your amplifier, and your worm screw, which I guess I should have had that ready, but I didn't. So when that goes in here, and you see I've been using this, it's got the screw where you can see the screw has dug into it, and that's what it's for. So when you, instead of just twisting your wire and sticking in there, when you run that screw down, the wire goes everywhere and it breaks and etc. With that ferrule, it keeps all the wire together inside that ferrule, and it's a better connection, a more solid connection, doesn't break the wire, and it transfers more current. So that's and it saves you from a fire or damage or blowing up an amp or whatever. So that's a very good idea with the ferrule there. And you might say, well, is that all I use it for? No, it's not. You see, I've got it on the remote, I've got it on the speaker terminals, and if you've never used one of those, give me just a second here, and we will strip back a little wire. Hopefully don't slice my thumb off. All right, so we strip that. Twist it up. And here's some, you might have some small speaker wire or your remote wire. And some of that wire is like super, super small. So occasionally, if it's like that, this is a little thicker. It's okay. I think we can get by with the ferrule, the small ferrule. Sometimes I'll fold those over in half to give it a little more strength. So in your ferrule box, right, that you can't see, right there with all that's an assortment. You can get that. All this stuff you can get on Amazon, and it's not that expensive. So your ferrule goes on like so. Then you got your crimper, and it's an automatic crimper. You run it over there, squeeze it one time, it's crimped, just like that. Not going anywhere. And instead of you trying to shove a wire you can't see, you twist it, you put it in there, a couple of wires come out. You know, not only does that keep the wires together, but it also keeps them from breaking when you run the screw terminal down on it. And where's that other piece of wire? Right there. So there's the little thicker wire. You can do this up to, I've got, you know, they have ferrules for all kinds of sizes. This is an 8-gauge ferrule. This wire, we're going to run this little blue one on and run the crimper on. Bam, it's crimped. That's it. It's done. So that's, like I said, going into your amplifier. There's even some of these new line out converters. Where's my bass head garage thing? It's right there. These things are tiny. If you can get a look at that, of course the camera's just like one little notch off. I've got the smallest ferrule and used it because each one of those is a set screw. Every single one of those. So I've got a tiny ferrule on every piece of wire there. I don't know what I just dropped. Oh, so that is that. And I'll show you one last thing and that's it. So bear with me a second. So going back to this, this is one of my bench amps. You know, ferrules on everything. That way you don't have, well, I lied. There's one right there that I didn't do a ferrule on, but I soldered it so it would stay together. So when you're, you know, fumbling, trying to get the wires in there, maybe you're reaching, you can't quite see it. Maybe it's in a tight spot. You don't have to worry about a stray wire crossing over and you blowing a sub, blowing the amp, you know, starting a fire, whatever. These ferrules are very, very important and very helpful. So that's it. I hope this helps more than one person. Have a good day.